So we're going to be talking about the pineal gland and when you activate it, what happens. It's no different than when you do ayahuasca or any of the sacred medicines. The first portal that you go through is you're going to see gargoyles, demons. I just saw somebody saying, because I was looking at pineal gland activations from Dr. Joe Dispenza and some unknown people, and they didn't answer the question. The person said, what about demons when you open the pineal gland? So I thought I would do a quick live to answer the question. They are the guardians. They are the dogs, the rabid dogs that keep you from the gates of ascension. So when you activate your pineal gland through meditation, transcendental meditation, whatever the hell you're doing, yoga, sacred medicine plant, what's going to happen is, it doesn't happen to everyone, by the way, but it could happen to people. And so there's the answer. The answer is they are the rabid dogs that keep you from going further. They are the rabid dogs that keep you from moving into the highest dimensional consciousness that you are trying to activate. So when you activate your pineal gland, I can tell you how mine was activated in a strong way. People talk about Kundalini rising as if it's a one-shot deal. If it was a one-shot deal, most people would have psychosis or lose their fucking minds, okay? So Kundalini rising is a spoon-fed thing. When you do Kundalini yoga, you are being spoon-fed. You're actually activating yourself line by line. Think of it as a switchboard, an electrical switchboard, and you're not going to fucking throw all the switches up. You're going to do one switch at a time. Does that make sense? So hopefully that makes sense. But I'll talk about how my pineal gland was activated. But first, before I go into that, I have to caution you to stop your fear keeping you from breaching the gates of your own highest self. There are no demons, okay? These are visions that are there erupted from nefarious forces, gargoyle-like images, whatever, that are there to put the fear of God in you. And it's there to prevent you from going further. That's what that's all about. So if I were you, and I hope you're more like that, you'd say, fuck you, get the fuck out of my way. That's exactly what you would say. Get the fuck out of my way. And proceed to go further because if you don't, you're going to run back into your little cave of ignorance. And all the work you've done is going to be for naught. You'll go back to being adoring virtue. Oh my God, I found I'm going back to, the old orthodox teachings. And that's not what you want to do. You want to progress. You want to grow. You want to empower yourself. And they're gates. They're fucking gates. You earn this shit, my friend. You don't just no one's handing you a pineal gland third eye awakening. That's just, no, by the way, there are a lot of people going, oh my, I had my pineal gland opened up, activated. Bullshit. The only person that can open up your pineal gland is you. You. Can someone help you facilitate some clearing? Very few people on the planet can do that, actually. I'm amazed at how they're telling me to say gullible people are. Because the minute you go into the ascension walk, the journey of ascension, most people become extremely vulnerable and they think everything that drops out of these people's mouths is fucking gold. And it's not. Don't get hustled by people. They're out there to hustle. Okay, there are good people out there. Great shamans. My shaman is an amazing woman. Amazing soul. And because she doesn't have all the accoutrement that makes people want to think of her as a shaman, she's not as powerful, or in other words, as well known as she should be. She deserves a lot more notoriety and respect, but she's not. One of the reasons is probably because she's fucking humble. So she's the real deal. That's probably one of the main reasons, actually. But the other reason is because people are attracted to bling bling. They want, all that fireworks around. And a true teacher is a quiet light. It's a quiet light. It's a calm light. It's calming energy. It's very, and this light has a lot of integrity. Going back to the pineal gland. So when you open, when you've activated your pineal gland in this incarnation to awaken, you're going to go through, you might go through some shit. So now let's talk about how mine was awakened. It was very interesting. It was like around 2000, hang on, 2007, thereabouts, I believe. Yeah, 2007, 2008. And for 3 days, I could not get out of bed. I could not even open my eyes because there was so much pain in the frontal lobe all the way to the back, into the middle of the back of my head. Not in the middle, but the back of the cranium. And I don't get migraines, period, ever. That's not my thing. I get a little headache every blue fucking moon because I didn't drink enough water, but typically that's not my thing. I don't suffer from migraines, and I feel sorry for people who do, because anyway, this was a pineal gland activation, and my son, who was about seven and a half, for some reason knew what was happening and kept kissing my third eye, right between my brows, saying, third eye, kissing it. And so for 3 days, I went through, I guess, a decalcification, I suppose. And there I was. And my journey began. By 2010, I was walking a brand new path. So 2 years later, there was more activation needed. And by 2013, I'd finished 2 books. All of this happened after I had reconnected with my twin, and we went back to separation. So, but during the 2007, 2008 period, I went through a process of being attacked, I'm just going to say it, by a demonic energy. And you might say, well, that's crazy. And I'd say, no, it fucking happens a lot more than you think. And I was given a mantra from a very dear friend. I knew she would be the only one who didn't think I was going through psychosis, because I wasn't. I was basically having massive vertigo. And I was going through where literally if I sat up, the room would spin. I could not get out of bed for 2 months. No one could figure it out. So in 2007, I had the headache. In 2008, I was laid up in bed for 2.5 months, damn near. And I'd gone from running up hills, lifting weights, power walking. I mean, I was exercising 2 hours per day, every day, rain or shine, 7 days a week. And out of nowhere, I got slammed. So that was weird. And I did this mantra that I did again and again and again. And I did it. It was a 48-hour battle. And finally, the energy left. And I felt this unbelievable weight lifted off my solar plexus and my heart chakra. A gunk, something heavy, had been released. So for those of you who are cynical, enjoy that, because in the world of the unseen, there are many powers that can heal and harm. And it is a real energy. It's polar opposites, obviously, but these energies, though you can't see them, they are alive and well and are surrounding us. Our animals can see some of these energies. And you know that. You've seen your cats or dogs look up and you think nothing, and they seem to be scared. Take that shit seriously and sage the room where that's happened, or concentrate on the corner of that room. That shit is real. So anyway, when you are about to go through your ascension and you're going into the pineal gland, third eye activation, and you are actually going into your spiritual practice, and you're doing it on a daily, you're not missing a day, you're doing it with diligence, devotion to yourself, to God, the all creator, the universe, however you want to term it, doesn't matter to me, as long as there's love in your heart when you do it. And you are going to have barriers put in front of you to scare the fuck out of you, so you run back into the cave, Plato's parable of the cave, you go right back to the cave of ignorance. And you have to breach those fucking walls. You earn that shit, my friend. You earn it. So you earn it by being fearless and by continuing the progression of your ascension. That's it. It's a win game. You're burning your ships like Alexander the Great when he took Persia. The way he told his men, we're fucked. We got to win Persia. And at night, to give his men the message, he burned the fucking ship. Hence the saying, burning your ship. Meaning there is no plan B. And in the ascension game, there is no plan B. There's plan A, I'm here to win, and fucking get the fuck out of my way. That's it. And that kind of diligence is going to be very important. You're going to need a Doc Holiday, meaning a friend that is your ride or die. You don't need fucking 10. In fact, 10, I will, like, you know, give you a side eye, because there's no way. You'll have one. And if you have one, you're very, very blessed. Definitely connect with your guide. Definitely connect with these other, like, beings on the other side of the veils. That is your team of power. And they will help you, because sometimes you're going to fall on your knees. You're going to be exhausted by the infrastructure of the system. You're going to get fucked. Your car's going to break down. Shit's going to happen. And you're going to go, what the fuck? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm meditating every day. I'm doing mantras every day. Why in the hell are things so hard? Like going up a hill, like Atlas, you know, holding the world on your shoulders, trying to go uphill. Why is this happening to me? And it is, there are nefarious energies on the other side who don't want you to make it, because once you make it to the top of the Himalayan mountains, right, and everything is beautiful, the problem for them, for these nefarious energies, is that now you're going to speak your truth. And that means that now you're going to be one more powerful voice on this planet, guiding people out of the darkness into the light. That's why when you are very powerful as a soul that's come to incarnate, to become, to do your mission, which is a light bringer. And when I say mission, like, don't get it crazy. I'm not talking about, you know, becoming a world leader. I'm talking about being one of the many voices that gives sense, direction, hope, encouragement, and guidance and mentorship to maybe 100 people, maybe 1,000 people, excuse me, on that level of influencing people, okay? And bringing them to the light. And it's passing the baton. And eventually you drop your body, and new people have come on that have this incredible power. And the new starseeds are being born. And the machine gets bigger and bigger. And this machine of light, this beautiful, gorgeous, expansive light of souls that have decided to incarnate on this planet to bring the ascension into full view for as many sentient beings as possible, is going to get massively activated. And this is why there are these demonic, gargoyle-like images that you'll see. There's certain things that is going to happen, and it's meant to scare the shit out of you. So, for example, when I did ayahuasca, every time I've done ayahuasca, just so you know, I always saw the gargoyles, the demonic masks and whatever, and I would just tuck in. I would just fucking tuck in. That means you surrender, you tuck in, you go in, and you go for, you're like, fuck this, I want to know. And you open your heart. It's almost like the gates of your heart open up in an explosive yes, and suddenly the gargoyles and the demons collapse, and then all of the light of wisdoms and activations reveal themselves to you. You earn that shit. You earn it. It's not just handed to you like, you know, we're not entitled to get the little fucking keys to our third eye. Like, here, baby, I just want to make sure you're happy. I'm going to give you everything you want. That's not how it works. It is a rite of passage. It is an odyssey. There are multiple problems that you're going to come across that are going to try to prevent you from going to your next level of graduation. And that is actually a good sign. Actually, when the universe, and let me put it this way, hang on. When the infrastructure of the 3D that is controlled by nefarious AI matrix systems to prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do, it's a fucking good sign. It means you must be powerful. I mean, it means you're kicking ass, dude, dudette. You're getting somewhere. And that's exciting. I mean, I know it can be crushing. Trust me, I've been there where I'm fucking soul crushed. I'm exhausted. I'm like, fuck, I'm so fucking tired. Like, yeah, go through that. Like, it's okay to feel that way. You're not a fucking Superman or Superwoman, okay? At least not yet. And you're going to be fine. You just need to realize that maybe you need to take a rest. It'd be very akin to you and me going hiking up on a mountain, and it's a 30-mile hike, right? It's going to take all fucking day plus a half another day to get to our destination. And you get tired, or I get cramps in my legs, and we stop and we rest And maybe we stop for a fucking hour. So, like, make sure you're kind to yourself and you rest. So, yeah, and I hate how people are talking about bed rotting. Everything that's meant to heal you, I'm amazed at how they shame bed rotting. No, if you want to stay in fucking bed and rest and nap and sleep, if you want to move from your bed to a hammock, if you want to move from a hammock to a settee or what have you, to relax, to read books, to meander, to listen to calming music or nothing, to just silence and the birds outside your window, that is not rotting. You are recharging. You are expanding your energy, releasing toxin shit in your body, in your spirit, and the monkey mind is being retrained to shut the fuck up and realize who's boss, which is your soul. You are not the slave to the monkey mind. The monkey mind is a servant to you. And once the monkey mind is a servant to you, it is a well-trained little monkey. And it will get its little nectar here and there, but it is going to listen to its directions. Does that make sense? But as long as the monkey mind, which is the internal dialogue of negativity that haunts every human being on this planet, trust me, no one is free from that shit, except from very powerful yogis and people like Eckhart Tolle. I mean, he's even said, I've been in silence in my mind for 2 hours. Like, what a dream. I've been in silence in my mind for like maybe at most 3 minutes, at most. Okay, and then the minute my mind says, oh my God, I've been in silence, boom, there goes the monkey mind. And at which point I start chanting a mantra, whatever mantra, however long. I've literally had people ask me, well, how long do I do it? I don't know, until your monkey mind shuts up. That's how long you do a mantra, until it knows that it's not going to win this dialogue. Remember, it's the monkey mind that makes people commit suicide. It isn't the fucking soul saying, let's get out of here. It's the monkey mind. So the monkey mind, if not trained, is a very dangerous parasitical energy. So in calibrating yourself as you are being upgraded, right? And finally, you're because part of the ascension aspect of getting your third eye awakened, from a completely shut eye, a tightly shut eye, to almost an open, like the lid is opening a little bit. So you're like almost like a mid-eye gaze meditation type of situation. That means that your root chakra is good. It must be good, or else that would not happen. So it is common, I would think it's common knowledge, but apparently not so common, that you have to work on your root chakra to feel fearless, not fear-filled, and all the other chakras are activated for your third eye to finally be able to feel safe enough, comfortable enough to do its work. Because if your root chakra is corrupted in any way, good luck. And no one, and I remember there's a very big influencer who 2 years ago, I heard her saying, and with a straight face, oh yes, I got my third eye activated. Please don't fucking go to people that are telling you this shit. What they can do is help you purge somatic pain, trapped cellular pain. If I were you, if you're really serious about doing that, which I really believe in that very strongly. I love Reginald Ray, who talks about, he's a master of somatic healing. In fact, he's got multiple books, Reginald Ray, or you can look at Reggie Ray, R-A-Y, and he's got books on somatic descent, breath work, because he understands that this is why you'll see people going into healing circles, and you'll see a facilitator working over them, and they're shaking and crying, and it's a primal cellular pain being released. When my son's father died in my son's arms, I knew immediately he needed to get somatic release, or else he was going to trap that grief of not being able to save his father, quote unquote, because it was his father's time. But you know how the body and the mind just shuts down on that, on the concept of it's their time. It's I failed this person who I loved. So knowing that, I had him do combo. So if I were you, if you're going through massive abuse or any kind of trauma, PTSD, right? I would look for a combo practitioner. It is absolutely legal in the US. It's totally legal. You don't have to worry. You're not fucking going in the shadows. And these practitioners will go to Peru, I believe, they definitely go to Brazil, to get their medicines and hand carried back to the States. I know of a person who does that in Northern California. In fact, that's who I sent my son to, and he went through three or four sessions to go to it. She didn't want to take me on for the combo because I'm going to be blunt. I gained a lot of weight since the COVID, and she was very concerned that my heart would be activated in the wrong direction, if you get my drift. So I admire her because she had that kind of integrity. So you want someone who has actually gone to the jungles, who has studied with shamans, who has worked with the medicine, who actually curates their own medicine, right? They go once a year to get their stuff, and then you're good to go. Okay, because it's something that has to be taken seriously. But what I will say about combo is it will kick the shit out of you in a good way. Okay, and then typically what people do is they'll do combo, right? And then after that they'll do bufo. And bufo, yeah, okay. There's certain places in Utah and Arizona and Florida where it's legal, but here's the caveat. But you're being treated like a conveyor belt. They're doing like three sessions per day, and they're doing like 20, 30 people per day at like $600 per person. Pull out your calculator. You'll see why you don't want to work with someone like that. You want to work with someone who, like I worked, where it was just three of us. Just the three of us in a circle. And she actually invited me to do it. And I said, absolutely, let me do it. And this is the ego death. And the ego death is important for the true third eye pineal gland activation. Does everyone need to do that? Like to the level that I'm discussing? Bufo, I think a lot of people who have had abuse or have been essayed or whatever, I personally think, again, I'm not a clinical therapist, this and the other, do whatever the fuck you want. But I personally would do it. That's just me. If you are scared of it, because it's not a joke, it's intense, I would go into hypnotherapy. And so in the healing journey, and this is what I did. So I'm going to tell you what I did to heal myself, and I'm still healing myself, don't get me wrong. But anyway, still in process. We all are. Anybody that tells you they're fully healed is full of shit, period. Like, move on. I started with my hypnotherapy session at 32. I did my hypnotherapy session damn near every year. I would go to her every year to do not a refresher. I always had a problem because in human experiences, the human condition of this wonderful infrastructured system, we always have problems and blocks. And these problems or blocks are, reverberating from past lives. And there's a repeat that's going on, a loop, right, that's going on. And we want to stop that loop. So I would go to her, and then I started getting trained in hypnotherapy. And I was getting a hypnotherapy session, I kid you not, 3 times a week. Swear. And I don't regret it. It was fantastic. If I could find someone who because right now she's gone and she's no longer practicing. She's retired. And the people that I work with, they're all busy and whatever. And I don't know how to say, but I'm looking for someone that's more in line with my spiritual belief system, if you get my drift. So I'm looking for someone who would give me what I would give myself, which is the way I induct, the way I do things. So I'm still in search. But once I do, like right now, I have a healer I've been working with for 3 years. And every month I meet with her, and I don't fucking kick tires. Once I meet someone, my shamans are still my shamans. Like, I will never replace my shamans with other shamans because I have a soul contract with them, and I hope to meet them again probably next year, okay, to do some other work, which I'll definitely share with you once I've done it, because I think I'm ready for the next level. But with that said, the hypnotherapy was the gateway to the awakening. The hypnotherapy helped me in understanding how to completely surrender, not to block things out. I'll give you a story that's so benign. It sounds benign, but it wasn't. So I went to a gong healer, right? Healing facilitator. This was a woman who had a twin bed, and I laid on the bed, and at the bottom of my feet, she had a gong. And she was hitting the gong very gently at the bottom of my feet. The energy of the gong's sound was going up my leg knees, thighs, hips, exploding through my chakras. And I remember feeling a block in my heart. And I took a couple deep breaths, and then boom, the gates flung open, and I had a DMT activation. I kid you not. Nothing. I was clean as a whistle. Okay. And suddenly I had images that exploded, that showed, and believe me, I didn't do this session to talk about my twin, but that exploded it to an understanding of what had started our separation, me and my twin. And I'm not going to discuss it because there's certain things that are sacrosanct, and they're my stories for myself. They're not to share with just the public, just to fucking get likes, okay? So suffice it to say, it explained to me our unity, our bond, and how we had gone through these separations, and the joyous reunion, and the irreverence, and again, the curiosity that had driven our separation. It was a curiosity. It was to see what's behind here, what's there. And these separations were thought to be temporary, and they lasted for a millennia or more. And that's heartbreaking when you come out of it. But so what's interesting is that she activated my pineal gland? No. My pineal gland was activated by sound frequency. And so sound frequency, depending on if you go to a good sound healer, it may go wrong, because if the sound healer doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, you will feel like shit's crawling all over your skin. I haven't experienced that, thank God, but I've heard people say that, like they had to leave the room. That is not someone who is going through where they're not resistant to change. It's the wrong frequency. In other words, some sound healers don't know what they're doing. It's just plain out. That's it. Simple. But when I did the grandfather medicine, right, that night, we had a masculine sound healer, which was perfect because of the grandfather. And we were given cacao on top of some more of the grandfather spirit mixed in the cacao. And he was singing beautiful voice, melodious voice of this deep masculine energy, this tonal voice from his throat chakra, while he was working with his gongs. He had I'm looking at the gongs right now in my mind's eye. He had 7 gongs, huge gongs, and crystal bowls and chimes. And he was walking amongst us and chanting these mantras. And his sound frequency of his voice and the gongs was so powerful. It was so in tune with all of us that for me personally, I had an all-out explosive vision and connection with the grandfather in ways that, had he not done what he did, probably wouldn't have been activated. I'm definitely sure of it. So his voice, the gongs, the way he was able to manipulate the energies in that room using frequency as a portal for all of us. And to be honest with you, I was one of the few who actually had an explosive, a journey. And I believe that the reason I did that is because I was doing a lot of I had been doing hypnotherapy for 20 years. So for me, surrendering on the spot was easy. That was one aspect. The other aspect, and I'll be blunt with you, is I also had bought a Moldavite. This was before Moldavite was when the chain of it being distributed was still open, right? It was 2018. And so I had a Moldavite and I had a Kunzite to soften the Moldavite. I have a very strong connection to the Kunzite. And the Kunzite that I have a strong connection with are usually pink with violet lights in them, just so you know. And that was in my bra, meaning right in my heart chakra, okay? And those also were instrumental in my ability to, go into that journey. And the journey was deep. And I will share that with you. The first thing I saw with the grandfather was a wizened brown face, which I'll tell you in a minute how I met a powerful, a powerful witch. I'm just going to say it. She's an amazing woman. She's got the palest eyes, almost like transparent eyes with the black pupil. It's the craziest eyes I've ever seen. Compelling. But anyway, her and I sat, And we compared notes on what the grandfather looked like, and we both had the same, because I remember saying a wizened face, like very brown, very dark brown, oak-like color, reddish tone, slim, and the eyes were huge and turquoise teal, shiny, bright, luminescent, like opalescent eyes. And she saw the exact same, it was the weirdest shit, the exact same face. And the grandfather did say, and I will share that message because it's important. He said, we want you to ascend. When he said you, he didn't mean me, he meant us. We want you to ascend. But when we come down here to help you, meaning us, the collective, it is like going through rocks and boulders and walls and steel walls, and it goes on and on and on. And it is very, very almost painful. But we do it to help you ascend. So trust me, we want you to ascend. 2 years later, I saw Dr. Joe Dispenza being interviewed by Lilou Mace, M-A-C-E, Lilou, French woman. And in it, he talked about his giant, working with giants. And he said that one day in the healing room that he has when you do these 6-7 day retreats, there's a healing room. He said that the giants telepathically said, can you raise the vibration of the room? And I've told this story before, but I think it's worth putting it all in alignment. Because the energy of the room is so low, the frequency of the room is so low, that if we lower our frequency anymore, we will lose our consciousness, and we love ourselves too much to do that. So can you raise the frequency of the room? It blew my mind because it confirmed what the grandfather had told me. And that activated that story. This is what I mean by we get activated by books, by interviews, by all kinds of things can activate us. So what that did for me is I realized that the activation of we love ourselves too much. That was a big activation. Because if we lower our consciousness anymore, we will lose our consciousness, and we love ourselves too much to do that. Can you raise the frequency of the room? It told me this. It told me, my God, when we fall, we lose consciousness. We loop into these incarnations. We are told and we are brutalized by infrastructures, orthodox teachings, dogmatic rhetorics that actually create a self-loathing spiral. And the self-loathing keeps us looping into this dharma wheel, this loosh, this loop that's like a hamster wheel, never ending. And so we love ourselves too much. To love yourself is the very key to Shambhala, to you moving into ascension. Not in an egoic, narcissistic way, a true love and acceptance of who you are in this incarnation, in past incarnations, in forgiving some of the things you definitely did that probably was not in alignment with who you are today. All of that being a true, nothing truer than that. And moving into this beautiful connection with your soul, a fractal piece of God, the Creator. And knowing that you are the petal in God's garland, to put it that way. You know, one of the many, many petals. The billions of petals, or trillions. And it makes you no less important. Because you are a perfume of the scent of the Creator. You are an image. You are that love, that desire that created you and all of us. And you also get to create on a micro level your art, your books, your poetry, your energy that people love to gravitate to, your wisdom, your kindness, your generosity. And unfortunately, in this particular timeline in 3D, we are now really seeing the absolute hellish shit that can happen and has happened for millions of years, by the way. I mean, it's not like it's new shit, but we've been seeing in the last, I'd say 5 years, things that have horrified us, broken us, and we were ground to dust for the right reasons. We're no longer innocent, naive, cynical. And those of you who are cynical, check your fucking ego at the door, because it's not going to help you. The old ways of making money, the Dan Pennas, the London, whatever, I'm trying to figure out the guy, his name, I forgot his name, where he's always wearing a suit, London something, he's an American. Full of shit. A lot of these people are full of shit. And they give us the impression that they know something, that they're successful because they've got the right watch. A watch you can't take. Yeshua doesn't wear a Rolex. Neither does Buddha. And you can say, well, they didn't have a Rolex then. Haha, I'm so clever. Yeah, but they had other fucking things. And they didn't wear those either. I mean, when you think of Siddhartha living in the palace, going, there's got to be more. There's something wrong here. I'm fucking leaving everything I got. I'm leaving all my money behind. I'm leaving all my fucking, privileges behind. And I'm going to find out what life really is and what is reality and what is consciousness to become the Buddha. Clearly, we're looking up at the wrong people. I mean, that's obvious. If you're looking up at an Elon Musk or whoever the hell you think is so incredible, when you have that kind of brilliance given to you by the universe, there's a responsibility to care for others who are less advantaged. It is not your right to take these skill sets, you're going to call them gifts, I call them skill sets, and not do the greater good for the collective. Believe me, when people like that drop their bodies and they do a life review, they go, oh, fuck. That's right, because now, if you're a really good soul, and you may avoid it, it's kind of like avoiding to take your final exam, and you incarnate again and again as a rich boy, because it's fun. It's fun to be rich. It's fun to do this. It's fun to have privileges. It's fun to be over other people. By that time, you and I will be in 5D, but that person wants to be in 3D, in the mosh pit of greed and the games of who is the bigger dog, right? But at some point, after 1,000 incarnations in life reviews, the guides are going to go, look, what are you doing? I mean, you're enjoying, that's great, but now what? And a soul that has evolved will say, okay, I'll take it on. What are you suggesting? Well, here's some lives. What do you think? Well, fuck, there's no money in any of these. I'm going to be poor. That's right. You are going to be poor. So when you look at yourself with shame and you ask yourself, why can't I make money? It's because you haven't learned how to love yourself, or you haven't learned how to manifest and believe that you can manifest the impossible. This is why people will have the big C on death's door, stage 4, going, and they survive it. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Have you ever heard anyone say it wasn't? That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Why? Well, because they got to see who were their friends. The people either stayed married and the marriage was bonded, or the husband or the wife bailed. They got to see who was really in love with them and loved them, and who really was never there unless they were there until it was no longer convenient to be there. Massive cleaning of house, which is what happens when you're going through a spiritual ascension. Massive cleaning of house. People who are not aligned with you are going to be pulled out of your life, and it will be sad. You will feel sad because you're not a psychopath, so you're going to feel sad. But it happens for a reason, and you constantly have to go back to that reason of that's the reason. Ultimately, you can't look up at people like that. You need to look up to people who are maybe humbled. People like, and I don't mean false humility, because false humility is also an egoic issue. I mean genuinely just good, salt of the earth people, give you the fucking jacket off their back. Because they have that kind of empathy. Selflessness. Makes you wonder about people that have all these billions of dollars that have yet to write a check to help homeless people right here. They could actually change the planet. Hell, they could change America in one stroke of a pen. Within 7 days, it would all be organized and done. And don't think it can't, because we saw, and people that tell me it can't, I point them back to the lockdown that happened in 3 weeks across the planet. Don't tell me shit can't be changed in 3 weeks, because I've seen it. I lived it. So did you. You saw what happened. On the side note, one of my old, and I mentioned it in my last live, but I'm going to mention it here. When many of us are called conspiracy theorists, right? Meaning there's something off, something stinks in Denmark, And we are theorists, meaning we think, and we want to figure out what's up with that. Many of us were accused of that during the COVID lockdown and the vac. And this person who's a PhD and who was fighting me tooth and nail came back to me and said, you were right. It was harmful. And I said, girl, last thing I wanted to do is be right. I wish I was wrong. It's not about who's right. It's about what is true. And so as we progress into 5D, and many of your little cynical New Age buddies who go, oh, that's impossible. It won't happen in this lifetime. We won't see it. Yeah, I'm going to say, fuck you. Yes, it will. Many of you will get to see it. Many of you will cross that bridge. It'll be almost imperceptible, and suddenly you'll go, wait, hang on. Something shifted. Wait, hang on. You'll be looking at your phone going, the algorithm of the planet has changed. Fuck your phone and TikTok. The algorithm of your planet, of your reality, will have changed to match to your frequency. And your algorithmic match of your high frequency will obviously not be a match to 3D bullshit. So many of you who are young, many of you who have been given a lifetime of, say, 70, 80 years or whatever, you'll see it. You'll see it. And many of you will also feel it. You'll feel it, kind of like smelling the rain before it rains. You know, that beautiful smell. And so it's all coming. It's frankly, fuck that. I should rephrase that. It's here. We need to be in that frequency match, to be on that timeline, on that pathway, in this new earth, in 5D. And that's the only thing we need to agree on. As for the rest of the fuckery of politicians and who you want to vote for, if that is actually going to be what makes you argue with people or run from people, you're missing the point. Your connection with people should be one thing only. Do you believe in 5D? Do you believe in New Earth? Do you think this could happen? Can we co-create that? Yes, great. I don't care. I don't give a fuck who you vote for. As long as we're on that same page, that is the most important page to be on. Because the rest of this fuckery will collapse anyway. It's not a match, obviously, right? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I think I'm done. Let me see if I miss any comments that I'd like to read out loud to on this live. Let me see here. I'm good. Thank you, Jessica. Mass cleaning of house. That's a good way to put that. Let me see. I remember Carolyn Miss talking about how those with money won't hand over their energy, even if it's nothing to them. I don't think. I think we're all stating the obvious, right? It's a hoarder is a hoarder is a hoarder. I don't care if it's an old lady or an old man in their trailer park and they've got fucking 50 cats, trash everywhere. It's a hoarder. We know it's a mental illness. I've said that many times before in my life, so it's not like I'm cutting edge or saying anything new here. And to me, a billionaire is a hoarder. There's a mental illness to it. One of the things I keep going back to is the old robber barons. Yeah, robber barons. The ones that created America as we know it. The one thing I'll give them credit for, because what the fuck, right? I might as well give them some credit, is they were the ones building these incredible libraries, these schoolrooms, these hospitals, these museums. They were bearing art. The art was going to be public view. You could go see, the Mulberry Tree by Van Gogh right up in Norton Simon Museum. Norton Simon, the Huntington Botanical Library, was a family called the Huntingtons, and they understood. You've got the Getty Museum, the Gettys. I'm just saying, I mean, they were nefarious people, don't get me wrong, like I don't fucking bow down to them, but at least they had enough fucking common sense to say, to keep the masses fucking appeased, let's give them something. and they did. They gave hospitals, they gave this, they gave that. And if you've done any, look at the 1800s, the 1870s to the 1940s, you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see that was happening. While they were suppressing other people of color, I'm just going to bring that up because that's what was happening. While they were, exterminating bison across the land to control the indigenous people, all of that fuckery was happening. They had the good sense to give 10% of their shit to to create these buildings and these communities and these resources for people like you and me. You know, a library is filled with books. I mean, it didn't fill itself. Okay, so. And these museums, like I said, in these hospitals, I think about folks that have dollars don't want to be presented in a way helping or not doing enough, right? Wouldn't it be hard to get more trailers into North Carolina? Anything can be done within 7 days. It's all about money. It's all about writing the check. And no one's that confused or that busy. Trust me, no one, because you can always delegate. Look, you're going to handle North Carolina. Look, you're going to handle LA. It's a fucking shit show. And you handle it. Here's a budget of $100 million. And as soon as you run out of them, let me know. I want to see what you've spent it on. And okay, good. Let's approve another 100. I mean, it's not brain surgery, my friends. You don't need a fucking degree. I think if you can do 2 + 2 = 4, we're good to go. Unless you've got other emotional problems. But if you're like me and if you're listening to me and you and I are on the same wavelength, I think you and I could manage a checkbook and delegate and do FaceTime to see what the fuck they're doing with the money. Show me what you're doing. Well, okay, let me fly in. You know, no matter what you think. And again, I'm not I shouldn't even have to say that. Fuck it. Trump did fly into LA. Do I agree in some of the shit? He's absolutely fucking not. No, but I will give the man credit is that he flew into LA. I think the day after his inauguration to see what the fuck Gary Newsom was doing with Los Angeles. Many of you don't even realize that the person who was handling the water, Mel Gibson talked about it in the Joe Rogan show. Other people talked about it, okay? There was no fucking water. Do you understand what I'm saying here? No fucking water. So these firemen came into these situations of burning homes and there was no fucking water. The woman who was in charge of water had gotten a pay increase from 400 and whatever. I'm just going to make it up, but it was $400,000. So I'm going to make it up, $450,000 and I'm not joking, to $750,000. She got a fucking increase of $300,000, and would show up at the office once a week. Once a week? What the fuck? You should be working 7 days a week for that kind of cash. There was no water. The people, and I know because I used to live in the community of Pacific Palisades. There was one man, two actually, one that hosed his house down, believe it or not, saved his house, only house that survived. One of the only houses. And the other guy had sprinklers going back and forth, the attached sprinklers, on his water, connected to his hose at his side of a house. But the fire hydrants had no water. None. And that kind of fuckery, you can't, it's either their IQs are like ice cubes or it's nefarious. It's one or the other. And Mel Gibson was being very, very careful and still went viral. As careful as he was, it still went viral. Because what he was saying was massive. Massive. And we got to see in action the difference between, by the way, on a side note, I'm just going to bring it up. On a side note, we got to see, what in the hell is this fucking little baby boy's name that was crying and crying and crying about his house burning? Do you guys know who? He's an older actor. He always plays the asshole in every movie, and apparently he's not acting. But he was crying and crying. James something. So while he was crying, we're looking at a boy in action, not a man, a boy. We're watching Mel Gibson doing the Joe Rogan show, knowing his house is burning, and just sitting through, because there's nothing you can do. Nothing you could do. So he sat there laughing, and later he was interviewed again, and later he was saying, it was in the back of my mind, but there was nothing I could do. I had my kid go in, get all my shit, passports, shit like that, and ran out. And then later I thought, oh, fuck. Because he had books from the 16th century. He had things like that were all burned to the ground. God knows how many master paintings, sketches, Picasso's, Monet's, whatever, were burnt in those homes. But my point to that is that the people who have no money to rebuild because the insurance pulled the plug, right? Like months ago, right? All of that is not being called to the carpet. And And when Trump flew over there and kind of, I'm sure he saw the fucking devastation, he called them out. He called them out, period. And what California is going to do with that, what are they going to do with rebuilding? And I don't mean rebuilding 15-minute cities, let's be honest. Let's see what they're going to do. And I talked to a couple people about building communities. And there are a lot of people who are scared right now. And fear is not going to be your ally. You cannot be afraid. You have to be in action. You have to be a solution-driven person. You have to be the voice of reason and the voice of fearlessness. And that's the end of it. And the craziness is when I lived up in Northern California, right, up in the mountains of Mariposa, I would see controlled burnings all the time. Constantly happening. So I'm not quite understanding why that was never in play, number one. But the most egregious question that's never been answered to this day is, why were the fire hydrants fucking empty? Dry as a fucking bone. What are you going to do with that? I mean, you can't, the fire chief, a woman, and they started going against her being a woman and gay and whatever. It's like, no, that's not the point, dude. There's no fucking water. I don't care if she's gay, 5'2", 6'6". It doesn't, there's no water. No one can win that. It's a no-win game. So why is this all happening? Well, because we as a people have put too much of our autonomy into the hands of others. We trust too much. And we're naive as fuck to our own deficit. Not to mention this country, this beautiful America, okay, because it is a beautiful country, has never gone through the shit show of being a conquered country, like in France, in Italy. You can put France on a lot of Americans are, oh, we bailed them out. Fuck you. We bailed you out. We gave you the money for the American Revolution, which made France lose its fucking head, literally, because there was no money left. And the French Revolution happened soon after, because all the money was sent to this country to build it. On the side note. Now let's move on. So America has never gone through that shit like the Austrians went through. Like what happened when the Germans lost, that kind of shit. None of you have ever, you don't even have parents that went through that. I have a parent who served in World War II, and I have a mother who was on the shoulders of her father watching the Americans deliver Paris from the Germans' hands into the American hands, to the French hands, to de Gaulle. I have two perceptions of the war, two memories of that war, and how it impacted. And I can tell you firsthand that you've never been conquered. Europeans have. Not once, a few times. In fact, hundreds of times throughout the millennia, for at least 2,000 years of written and recorded history. And because of that, there is a sense of we will go through that and we'll survive. Meanwhile, there's a lot of preppers and people like that trying to scare the fuck out of you. And I'm not saying don't be smart. I'm saying don't let fear literally gnaw at you on a daily. And that's what's happening. People are getting really, really frightened. I see it. You can smell fear. And you don't want to be in a place of fear. You want to be in a place of solution, of taking care of your business, of realizing that there are things that need to go through a massive change, that there's pain there. I'll dumb it down for you. When you were like a little 12-year-old, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever the hell, you had growing pains. Your knees hurt, right? Because you were growing at an exponential rate at a certain point in your life as a little child going into the change of life, right? It hurt. And that's what we're going through. We're going through growing pains. It's not pleasant. We have to start getting very, very serious about talking about politics, because political systems are very much involved with the infrastructure which impacts your ascension. How does that work? Well, my friend, if you have to work 3 jobs to fucking pay your rent, you don't have time to meditate. You actually don't. You barely have time to have 4 hours of sleep. The stress of survival prohibits your ability to ascend. You need chill time. And chill time in a system that is not kind to you, right, corrupted, is going to prevent you from ascending. So the idea of talking about religion, comparative religion, philosophy, culture, art, religious beliefs, and everything that surrounds that politically is going to be part of the new spiritual age until we get to 5D. And all of that has to be hashed out so that in 5D, we have a system of guidance, not leadership, of guidance, of round table systems that are balancing and help the collective. And it's always about the greater good. What can we do to help the collective? How can we be generous to the collective? It is not about my way, the highway bullshit, which it's been so far. It's this way or that way. It's, hang on, let me read this. This is interesting. It's not about, what's the word I'm going to say? Yeah, voting for the lesser of two evils. And let's be honest, across the world, that's been the issue. Voting for the lesser of two evils instead of voting for the best fucking situation. And it's lack energy. It's lack consciousness. Banks are making it hard to get those loans to get land. It's been a challenge. I know what you mean. James Wood, thank you. That was the little PUSSI that was crying like a baby. You saw in action a boy, weak men, which I talked about in my last few lives. James Wood, perfect example of a weak man who's a bully. And then a real man, Mel Gibson. And do we all, are we black and white human beings? No, we all have our fuckeries. Trust me, I've had my Mel Gibson moment, if you know what I'm saying, on a recording line. I've gone off, so I'm not, walking on water. Do you need to be in a place annoying because once you know, that means you're conscious? No, you don't. Jeremy, you don't need to be in a place of annoyance. You need to say, what do I deserve? What do I want? I don't want this. You see, when you're 30 years old or thereabouts, and a lot of you are getting much younger and realizing what you don't want. So when you know what you don't want, which you've just mentioned, this is a place of annoyance, then you start co-creating with 369 methods. It fucking works into moving into what you do want. And you've got to be fearless. Fearless. If you want to be in a Bali and that's what you want to be, then you fucking make it happen and go to Bali. If you want to be in Switzerland and don't listen to the bullshit, oh, it's so expensive. No, it's not. I know people who have apartments that they're paying $650 a month, and the apartments are beautiful. Like all this light. Beautiful. So bullshit. Don't let people tell you the reality, because the way we spend our money in America, in Europe, they're saying, oh, it's so much more expensive. Trust me, when you go to Europe, you're like, holy fuck, their sense of expensive is my sense of peace. It's perception, it's experience. Now, their system of what is, the infrastructure that is right now is different from them than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, there was a lot more expansiveness and a lot of this. But I'll tell you one thing, they beat us hands down on vacation time, on socialized medicine, on pills that are like fucking, like insulin is like, I don't know, what is it here? $1,000 a shot. And over there, it's like $30. I mean, come on now, please. So, yeah, you don't have to be in a place that you don't want, but you cannot resent a place you don't want to be in. Whether it's a job, I was telling that to my son today. I was saying, don't do that shit, because what you're doing is affecting me. So I said to him, and I'm going to say to you, Jeremy, be grateful for that annoying place, because that annoying place taught you contrast. It taught you shit. I don't know what it taught you, but figure it out, because I know you can. And then come into a place of gratitude and go, I learned so much here. I'm so ready for new experiences. I'm so excited. I say yes to new experiences. And my new experiences, I want to live in Bali. I'm giving you an example. It's just an example. And you just keep seeing yourself in Bali, on the beaches of Bali, taking a walk on Bali. Hell, meeting Sasha Stone, meeting fantastic people, meeting shamans. Probably one of the shamans that I know that goes there once a year. In fact, right now, this time of year, she'll be there. For example, And that's what I want you to get into that. But if you keep getting annoyed by the situation you're in, you will be trapped in that loop and you will not get out. It will be like trying to fucking get out of quicksand. The more you struggle, the more you sink. Don't do that. It's a fucking dead end game. Okay? Does that make sense? You understand? Beautiful. He who knows the fact that he knows is a wise person. I don't know. It sounds like it's like a fortune cookie. So, but does that, okay, good. That understands. So yeah, but it's one thing to know that. It's one thing to live that. Okay. It's great. I know a lot of shit, but do I do it all? No. Because if I did it all, I'd be here and there. Like, for example, I have my own situation where I want to be somewhere else, right? And it's not because I resent anything at all. I've done my, you know what I mean? I got my ticket punched. I did the merry-go-round for 40 years. I'm ready to go, right? But I have to also trust divine appointments, divine guidance, divine timing, what my soul signed up for before I took on this incarnation. I have some amnesia, obviously. I remember certain things. I get aha moments, but sometimes I forget, oh, yes, I did agree to this. Oh, yes, I was supposed to, and I haven't learned this. Like right now, I'm actually looking to do a talk at a local library, a talk on hypnotherapy. Whether or not people do it with me isn't the point. It's to tell people, for example, that hypnotherapy has massive healing potential for a human being. And so I'm going to be talking about that. And the common fears of hypnotherapy and the common blocks of hypnotherapy, and people thinking that, you know, to be hypnotized means you've got a weak mind. No, dude, to be hypnotized with the right person, to surrender and trust that person who's hypnotizing you, means that you are fucking shit of your bullshit and you're strong as fuck, and you're tucking in and going in to find out what you can excavate and what you can throw in the fucking funeral pyre to move on to your next level of conscious awakening. Things like that, you know? But the more we hold on to ignorance and fear, because it's fear, cynicism is fear. People who cling to the logical mind are fearful people. And those are weak people. Because strong people go, I don't know. The world, time is infinite. There's so much to learn. The more I know, the less I know. I'm all in. Fucking yeah, what's next? Excited, curious, irreverent, brave. Those are brave people. Weak people are, yeah, I'll see it when I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. You know, it's like, I was telling the librarian, the head librarian, I go, yeah, and look, the drones came. Crickets. No one's, you know, these cynical people are still in silence. So, you know, don't let people with these hang-ups influence you at all. You know what I ask people that's so funny? I had a client, I had a client yesterday, and I said, he was talking about the cousin, and the cousin involved in him and his connection with a woman, they're in separation, blah, blah, blah. And I said to this client, well, let me ask you this. I just want to ask you a question. Is your cousin ever been in a loving relationship? No. Has your cousin ever been successful spiritually or in her life in a way that you admire and you look up? No. So why are you taking advice from her? I don't get it. Like, why are you taking advice from someone whose life you wouldn't want to emulate even a piece of it? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, why? So she's never been in love where she had a successful situation. Like, I have clients who, God bless their souls, were in love with the love of their life, and their love of their life eventually died, but they were in union. And they died. They died of the big C. They died of an accident, whatever, however. And it was their time to die. But you know what? They know what that is, to love fully, to be loved fully. They know it. So you take advice from people like that. You don't take advice from people who are bitter, who've never found love, been fucked over by love, have never been in the blissful knowledge of being in the arms of your home, made love to, like transcendental lovemaking, tantric lovemaking. Yeah. If they haven't had that, why in the fuck are you taking their advice? Seriously, really, I'm serious. You know, people that say there's plenty of fish in the sea. No, actually there isn't. There's probably 2 if you're lucky. If you're very lucky, there's 3 in your incarnation. There'll be 3. At most. At most. I had 2. That's it. And it's fine. It feeds you for the rest of your incarnation. Trust me. But so when I listen to clients who are happy, this, that, and the other, there's no envy. Why would there be? I've been there, done that. And I've had other experiences that were, in my opinion, for me, even more mind-blowing. For me. It doesn't mean it's for them, but for me. It's not to compare, it's to say, I've had my nectar. Again and again and again. And to take advice from people who've never had the nectar of what I've just described is crazy. It's fucking crazy. And yet, it's done all the time. Constantly. Sad, isn't it? You have to know. If you don't know, you're not aware. And if you're not aware, what do they mean? I guess. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. What time is it? Yep, I'm going to let you go. It was a pleasure knowing you all, meeting you all, speaking to you all. You have to know we love it in order to give. Yes. I would suspect that's true. Anyway, so any other last questions or comments? I want to thank you for being on this live. I will upload this. We went from the third eye to, God knows, we traveled, didn't we? Hopefully it helped. The Esoteric Book Club, February 13th. The first book is Recall, and it's my book. I wrote it, and then after that, it looks like we're kicking rocks around Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagel. We're talking about The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. Some of you may have read these books. Some of you may have not. That's not really the point. If you've read, great. You're ahead to start skipping through the pages and kind of get a sense. And it's all good. So if you want to be part of the Esoteric Book Club, go ahead and connect with me on my Linktree. Go on my Linktree. Go to... when you go down the link tree, you'll see Telegram. It says Starseeds Awakening. Go ahead and link on that. When you link on that, go ahead and let me know that you want to be part of the book club, and I'll add you. I just started some sprouts this morning just to find new life for these energies. Good for you, Jessica. Beautiful. Every small aspect of loving Pachamama, Mother Earth, including starting sprouts on your windowsill, including taking a walk barefoot in the snow, including all of these wonderful magical experiences, is you ceremoniously saying yes to your incarnation, to gratitude, to nurturing energy. It's all good. It's beautiful, as a matter of fact. All right, sending you much love on your journey. Namaste, be well. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Find me on YouTube, and you'll find this live on YouTube if you missed it. All right, be well. Take care.